for coming. We've got a good crowd today for something that's really important, really important to our city. So, as the U.S. Constitution provides, the United States does a count of everybody living in its borders every 10 years that we all have come to know and love as the U.S. Census. And the U.S. Census these days has tremendous implications. Probably, it always has, but particularly so today for so much of what we're trying to do as a city. New Bedford in years past has been has struggled a bit with counting everybody within its borders. I think everybody seems to believe, I certainly hold this belief, that New Bedford has more than 100,000 residents, yet every time we do a census it shows less than that. And I think especially in the last few years, as we've seen our population grow, we've seen clear growth. Sonia Wamsley will tell you in the school department and enrollment that we know there's more people living here. And making sure we count them matters an awful lot. The Census Bureau estimates that there are, for every person who's counted in Massachusetts, that means about $2,300 more dollars in federal aid annually. And that comes in all kinds of programs. It comes in programs for things like Medicare and Medicaid, for federal transportation dollars, for veterans benefits, right, Jim? For all manner of federal benefits, almost a full suite of federal benefits are doled out in part based on population. And then there's all the state benefits as well, things like Chapter 90 aid for our roadways. We talk a lot about the condition of our roadways in the city, and among other things, and that money is distributed based on a formula that's based in part on a municipality's population. So there's a lot at stake here. There's an awful lot at stake. And so we've taken this, although the count will start next year, early next year in 2020, we in New Bedford are really ramping up our efforts to make sure that it's done right, that everybody is counted in our city. And so what we are announcing today is the launching of our Complete Count Committee. I think we have an acronym. Do we have an acronym? MBCCC or C cubed or something? CCC, whatever. We'll work on the acronym. But the point I want to make is that we have a Complete Count Committee, and we've had them in years past, but particularly so this time around, because getting it right takes a collective effort. It will require all of us in our city, all the major city agencies, all of the community groups, everybody who has a stake in New Bedford or who is involved in New Bedford in any respect, to leverage their networks, to fully reach out and make sure that everybody shows up on the scoreboard. So the committee is drawn from 13 community organizations that are represented here, and 5 members of city government, 5 agencies from city government as well. With any committee, you have to have you have to draw lines as to how many's enough, right? Because you don't want a totally unwieldy committee. And so we realized that, so we've tried to draw a line that makes sense, that's workable. But at the same time, we want to send a very clear signal to everybody that by drawing the line at 13 plus city agencies, that we're not meaning to exclude anybody, because we want everybody involved. So we're also creating, at the same time, not to confuse people, but a New Bedford Complete Count Council, a bigger organization that will encompass more folks, that will have input on what the Complete Count Committee does. What we want everybody to know is that we want input, we want action, we want to be as big tent as possible in this effort, because it matters to everybody in our city for lots of ways, not just because of additional federal aid and state aid that might come with it, but also because I think of the psychic benefit of being a city over 100,000. We are over 100,000. We want to be officially over 100,000. And so getting there, I think, would be important for the city just to, because as a way of validating all of our city building efforts that we've been undertaking in the last few years. So that is really important as well. So one other thing that we're announcing today, too, in addition to the formation of these two bodies, is that for the first time ever, the city is hiring a complete count coordinator. Ordinarily, we've relied exclusively either on the State Secretary of State's office or the Census Bureau for assistance. And I felt very strongly that we needed, in part, to take, as much as we rely on those partnerships, which are very valuable to us, that it would be very important for us to let everybody know that we're taking matters into our own hands. So we've hired Lynn Kosh, right there. Lots of you know Lynn from obviously the Buzzards Bay Coalition, and even more so from Operation Clean Sweep, to head up the efforts on a day-to-day basis. So we're really pleased to have Lynn on board to do that work with all of you, because I think that's really the only way that we're going to get it done effectively. And we're so lucky that Lynn was available to do this. We really are, and she's immensely talented, very organized. She knows the city well, and she knows all of you guys and many other people very well. So she'll be the point of contact, and we're really happy with that. But it's, again, I can't emphasize enough, this is going to take the work of everybody. I do want to acknowledge the folks, a number of folks in the room who will be part of it. I want to just thank Jose de Cunha and Pedro de Jesus from the Census Bureau, who are going to be have already started to help out in a big way with these efforts, and will continue to do that. The Secretary of State's office, the Massachusetts Secretary of State's office, Bill Galvin, as well as Glenda from Congressman Keating's office. It's great to see you here. I mean, obviously, this is a federal matter that plays out in a big way at the local level. The co-chairs of the Complete Count Committee are none other than two fan favorites, HELENA Hughes and David Lima, who exhibit leadership in so many ways and so many fronts in our city. And so, like as it is with most things, you look for the busiest people to get stuff done. And of course, it took me about 2 seconds to figure that out. So I insinuated myself. I imposed and asked HELENA and David to do it, but they've been involved in these efforts before, and I think it's being involved in this, I think, will complement what you guys do day to day, and I think you just add tremendous value to the effort overall. So I'll ask each of them to come on up and say a few words, and then we'll do we'll have a couple of others speak specifically about targeted populations, and then we'll take questions. So without any further ado, Lady Hughes from the Immigrants Assistance Center.
Good afternoon. So the Immigrants Assistance Center, this is the fourth time that I've been involved with the census. We did it in 1990, 2000, 2010, and here we are, 2020. And so, I mean, it's just obvious that, of course, our population will come in and we will be helping them out with translating the questions and filling it out, helping fill them out, also utilizing to really also social media. This is the first time actually that people are going to be able to do it online, which is going to be challenging for our population. So I actually see our numbers really people coming in really when they get the form in the mail. So that is something that we will definitely be working. But one of the things that I think it's very important for us to do is, of course, social media is important, but the population that we deal with, that we work with every day, are populations that are that we are definitely need to utilize the ethnic media, the radio, the television, also printed media. I think that is where I see that our role is really going to be important. And at the same time, utilizing the ethnic media and speaking about the importance how every single one of us count. and making sure that everyone in the household, I know the last, 10 years ago we were undercounted. We want to make sure that does not happen again, and making sure the children, I know I was told that in 2010 that children were undercounted. So I think it's really making sure that every single person in our city gets counted, no matter what their immigration status is. And so that's where I see my role in this, and we're here to do whatever it takes because we all benefit. And if we don't count everyone, then we will not benefit as much as we should. So thank you, and that's my role here with the Census Committee.
I can't believe this is your 4th census.
35 years, that's a long time.
All right, and so let me call the Reverend David Lima up to say a few words as well. He's the co-chair of the committee. David.
So after eye surgery 2 weeks ago, being the first time behind a pulpit in 2 weeks as a Pentecostal minister, I've been told to keep this to 2 minutes. If I start shaking, understand. I'm grateful that the mayor actually thought enough that we needed to be here at the committee. Unlike HELENA, who's been here through 4 censuses, I've only been involved with the last one, 2010, although I've been counted in all of them since I've been alive. But the thing is this, and this is what we do really need to recognize. We keep hearing about getting that complete count. We need to count everyone. Everyone has value. But that value translates to value for the city. That value ends up giving us the assistance that we need. When you get undercounted, monies that should be able to be here in this community, $2,300 a person, will add it up. We figured that probably we may be undercounted by at least 10,000 from what I understood a few years back. At least 10,000. Well, multiply that out by 2,300. As a taxpayer, I would love to have that kind of money coming into the city so that I don't hear about how things have to be lifted up through fees or taxes or anything else. But more importantly, that money goes to places and in areas where we are able to help the most vulnerable in our community. We're able to actually do the things that we know are necessary to be done that we're always lacking funds for. So being able to get that complete count is got to be not just the effort of the committee, not just the effort of the council that the mayor was talking about, but it's got to be our effort. Everyone in this room, everyone out in that community, you need to make sure that not only you fill out that paperwork or the app or online as they're going to be sending it out, but you need to make sure your family and friends are filling it out too. Because I don't know about you, I've been home for 2 weeks staring at my dining room table as I've healed, and I've been getting a lot of junk mail. And a lot of times, you know what I know happens? Mail that doesn't have something directly to do with something that I want to see usually gets pushed to the side and gets forgotten. This cannot be forgotten. We have to make sure everybody fills out their paperwork, whether it's online or not, because this is what's necessary to help transform this city. Every 10 years. It only gets done every 10 years. Let's make sure we get it done right this time.
All right. Well done, Dave. One of the things I wanted just to piggyback on David's comments is that, there will be lots of folks who do what we all do with what seems to be junk mail, form mail, right? You have sort of, block type and looks like somebody just sort of spit it out of a computer and sent it on its way. And we also have the problem of people who don't want to fill it out because they have concerns about disclosing information to the government about their lives. And what I want to say to everybody, is this will hardly be the last time you hear this from this committee, and that is the responses are confidential. You're not going to get in trouble filling it out. And we will make sure that if there is any confusion about that at all, we'll make sure that you are put in touch with people who can answer any of those questions, who can assuage those concerns, because we want everybody to feel like, yes, I'm doing my civic duty and filling out this form. It's good for my city. It's good for my country. And so, and frankly, this year it's going to be harder. We anticipate that it will be. I think everybody here is aware of the, just get it out there, the citizenship question. We all have our views about it. I have my view about it, which is I don't like it. I don't think any of us, frankly, do. But you know what? We're going to play the hand we're dealt. If it makes it harder, then so be it. We'll just have to work harder, and that's the approach that we have to take, and not feel feel sorry for ourselves or just be mad. That's very understandable. But whatever the ground rules, we're going to play by them and make sure that we do the best we can. So I wanted to call up a good friend, ADRIAN Ventura, who has been instrumental in bringing into the light and into the American mainstream so many of our immigrants in our city, especially those of Guatemalan descent, and who just does fabulous work, day in and day out. So just to say a few words. I think this is the second go around with the census, but I may be losing the second one. All right, come on up, Adrian. It's not even working, so it's not projecting. It's fake. It's fake.
Hola, buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Adrián. Soy el director del Centro Comunitario de Trabajadores en Bedford.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Adrian Ventura, the director of the Workers Community Center in New Bedford.
Este es el segundo año que estamos entrando en el conteo, como se le llama.
This is the second time that we are entering in the count, as it's called.
Usualmente no nos prestamos a estar acá, pero para nosotros, los trabajadores, los refugiados acá, es muy importante que entremos en este conteo.
It's very important for us, the workers, the refugees, that we are part of this count.
Usando todo lo que tenemos al alcance para hacer este proyecto y para alcanzar la base tenemos que usar los medios que tenemos en mano.
So in order to reach the base, we really have to use the means and the methods and the media, this is a word that has many different meanings in Spanish, that are at our hand in order to reach that.
Principalmente nuestra comunidad maya, nuestra comunidad, como se dice, centroamericano, el pequeño miedo que hay cuando se le pregunta, se necesita educar en este proceso que nos queda todavía antes del 2020, es educar para qué es que se haga, porque muchas personas nuevas que están entrando al país.
So there are a lot of new people who are entering the country, and for our Maya community, for the Central American community, it's very important that we educate people. There's a little bit of fear, and we need to educate people about this process in the time leading up to 2020. That's the important thing we need to do.
Es algo que debemos involucrar todos los que estamos aquí, principalmente la policía. Tenemos que tener esa amistad, esas relaciones buenas con ellos para que cualquier persona que llegue en hacer ese trabajo, ese conteo, llenar ese formulario, pues se siente con mucha confianza de dar su información.
So we need to work a lot with agencies in the city, particularly the police, so that when it comes time for people to fill out that form, to give that information, that they really feel very confident, very trusting about giving that information.
Cuando dije usar los medios que tenemos, por ejemplo, Facebook y todo lo que está, muchas veces tenemos páginas que podemos allí hablar en nuestro idioma y explicar a la gente detalladamente por qué es el conteo que se está haciendo.
So when we use mediums like Facebook and we are able to talk to our people in our community in our language and explain to them why are we gathering this information, why are we doing this count.
Y usualmente también en nuestra comunidad nos tenemos que preparar dentro del comité, la junta directiva que tenemos en nuestras organizaciones, para prepararlos para que ellos mismos van ayudando a nuestra gente para este conteo. Y ya entendemos de que nos sirve para la infraestructura y todo esto, pero quizás por medio de eso se le ofrece más con un apoyo a la comunidad migrante más vulnerable que hoy en día está.
So we have to talk with the boards of directors of our organizations and educate them so that they can help reach out to the community. We understand that this goes for things like infrastructure, but we also hope that through getting more help for the city, there can also be more help for the most vulnerable population of the immigrant community.
Y algo que también queremos que ustedes aporten con nosotros o en el equipo o lo que va a estar trabajando, ideas nuevas, creativas o para que esto nos promueve más. No estamos ambiciosos de lo que nos van a dar o lo que está en este proceso, pero para en el futuro de nuestros hijos.
So we also want ideas from you, not just what is going to be happening directly with this count or what is going to come from this, but thinking about the future and the future of our children.
Muchas gracias y a todos los que están aquí.
Thanks, Adrian.
Many thanks for everyone who's here.
All right, thank you, Adrian. Last up, I'd like to introduce Corinn Williams, just ask her to say a few words in her capacity as Executive Director of the Community Economic Development Council, and someone who, like Adrian, and with Adrian, works very closely with many of our immigrant communities, and who's also been involved in other census undertakings, which is good. You know, this is my first one that I've been involved with. I'm so lucky to have all these folks who know the ropes, so I just want to ask Corinn to come on up and say a few words. Corinn.
Hi, thank you, Mayor Mitchell, and thanks to everyone who's come out today, because it's so important that this is an effort that we all kind of pull together and think about the people that we interact with and how we can get the word out about the census and how important it is for everyone to be counted. We know that parts of our city, our low-income neighborhoods, are hard to count communities. And so this is what we've been involved with in the last time, working with HELENA over the years on how to really identify where those hard to count communities are. And last time around, we were able to partner with a lot of the immigrant-owned businesses on Acushnet Avenue that people might not have access to ethnic media or mainstream media, but they're social hubs. So a lot of people are in and out of the bakeries and in and out of the convenience stores and talking to each other. So that was a great way of sharing information in addition to the work that we do by talking and interacting with people every day, like during our tax program, and just providing one-on-one kind of assistance. So this is going to take, it's going to take a village. It's going to take all of us to pull together as organizations who are interacting with our respective constituents, if you will, but also to kind of identify these barriers that people are facing, whether it's a language barrier, it could be a literacy barrier around a language, or it can be a technology barrier. This is the first time that there's going to be a real emphasis on the form being answered online. So many folks who don't have internet access in the home will find this as a hardship, and we expect to see folks come into our agencies for direct assistance. And so we're hoping that all of us in the room can pull together and make this a community effort for a complete count. So I thank everybody for being here, and we're getting ready and gearing up for a complete count in 2020. Thanks.
All right, thanks, Corinn. And it is important to emphasize that this will be the first sentence that will be heavily rely on internet-based responses, not exclusively though. So, our effort really is around making sure that, for those who haven't submitted responses online, that there's some follow-up, either online or in paper. A couple of other folks that I want to thank. I want to thank the Community Foundation for their ongoing support. I want to thank also Pam Keechler and Josh Amaral from PACE for the work they do there, but also that they together collectively serve on 3 school boards. So they've got a bunch of the region school children covered just by themselves. It is in many ways, so the undertaking will take over a year. It'll involve lots of people, will take a lot of high-level coordination and a lot of work in every medium. And it bears emphasizing that the effort will be granular. It will be door to door. It will be very much like a political campaign, an exercise in going out and not just getting people to vote, but also making sure that we've checked the block that they have indeed voted, and it's not dissimilar at all. Fortunately, we've got a lot of people who've been through the exercise before. I think we're aided also by improvements in GIS technology to make sure that allow us a greater capacity to just track who's filled out the form and who hasn't. But if you haven't, we'll be knocking on your door, and it'll be one of these friendly faces or somebody associated with them. And I do want to emphasize that we have to encourage people to sign up and to let them put all their concerns at ease. They're not going to get in trouble, and they're not going to relinquish their confidentiality of their personal information. So with all that, I want to thank everybody, and just open it up for questions. So Kieran, you're in the front row. You get to go.
Well, other than, I guess, pride in the fact that the city would be over 100,000, would there be any other benefits aside from the count, like per person?
Well, as I said, there's a lot of dough involved, both through federal and state aid. So you named the program. It's not every single federal and state program is distributed based on population, but a lot of them are, and the big ones are. So whether it's transportation aid, whether it's CDBG funds, home funds, ESG, veterans benefit. I mean, it runs the gamut. It really does. Lots of medical programs as well. Statewide, Medicare and Medicaid is distributed that way. But it's, and a number of other smaller state programs are based on population as well.
Will there be any sort of city website where there can be like frequently asked questions answered or anything like that?
There will be. That'll all be set up. So I emphasize that today's announcement is about setting up the committee, the establishment of the committee, which is something that the folks here have been working on for some time, and as well as the council, the broader group, and also announcing Lynn Kosh's hiring. And in the months ahead, they will be working on a complete count plan, which will be not dissimilar from those in other cities, right? Because these things, you operate under the same set of ground rules in effect, but it'll be customized to New Bedford, New Bedford's media market, New Bedford's culture, New Bedford's networks, and so forth. All right, everybody. Thanks a lot. We look forward to all the hard work ahead, but it'll be worth it. Thanks again.
It takes less than 1 minute to find out if you may have prediabetes. You can do it here. But I get it, you're busy, and busy people can't have prediabetes. I read that wrong. They can, okay? Just go to the site.